Добрий вечір всім, хто сьогодні приєднався до нас. Сьогодні у нас дуже незвичайна подія. Зустріч українського та хорватського фандомів. Так? Мене звати Альона Сіліна, я представляю літературне об'єднання «Зоряна фортеця». І сьогодні ми будемо говорити з чудовими гостями. Анна Ковальова, авторка фентезі «Смарт-чари», і не тільки «Смарт-чарів», але ми до чого це повернемося. І я шалено перепрошую, якщо я вимовлю ім'я трохи неправильно, але це, здається, вже моя фішка. Знаєте, на кожному ефірі не так якось говорю імена. Сьогодні з нами в гостях Марко Штенґл, так. Yeah. Вітаємо. Hello, Марко. And yes. І Мірко. Sorry.
Карас.
Бачите, я змогла. І сьогодні ми будемо говорити Сьогодні ми будемо говорити англійською мовою, мова міжнародного спілкування. So today we will speak in English, and I hope that my guest will help me because, my English is not so good. I try, but I can't. I just can't speak very, very fluent. So Anna, please help me because
okay.
my work language is Deutsch. So sorry. Yes.
You'll be happy to hear we have German translations for of our authors.
Maybe I can do it, but not today. It's too hard. Yes, and we have many questions for you, but I understand that we can speak only part of this question. So let's begin from very, very interesting question. How would you describe your fandom science fiction scene, and for someone who never read or hear about it? So I don't know anything. What you will begin to tell me?
That we exist for a beginning. We are here. There are people who love science fiction, who read it, write it, and there is quite a lot of us. So basically, at one point we had 10 conventions in a year. Now we are on 6 or 7, I think, something like that. So we do it for like quite a long time. SFera started like 50 years ago. Next year it will be 50th anniversary, and like very soon. In the other cities, people said like, "Oh, we don't want to go to Zagreb to talk with people about science fiction," and then they started making their own clubs and their own groups. And now, like, we spread around the whole country. There's like we are everywhere, and we have quite a lot of people writing, but we are not part of the mainstream. So people always think that, like people who write in Croatia, they're not that good as foreigners. But that's the other problem that we can address also later. But people write very good. People like to meet together. And we are, maybe from somebody from outside, we look like a strange group. Anna visited us like a couple of weeks ago. And we basically said, yeah, hey, sit here and we will not bother you. So whenever you want to join in, just start talking with us. And then everybody starts talking to her. So that's it. So if you see us, if you meet us, don't just stand in a corner. Just come to us, say hi, and just start talking like we know each other for 50 years.
Well, what I can say is that it's an inherited thing from the past, because you've got to understand one thing. The two of us are a bit of an old geezers here, and that means that we've been along for quite some time, 20 or 30 years plus. So we've known fandom from the beginning, from the early stages when it was not so popular to say that you're an SF fan today. That's actually a mainstream, but up then you were a weirdo. But the culture remained, the openness to the people who actually do love to read, who do like to write, watch, play a good game or something. You're part of us, and there is a very positive attitude to anyone who comes by and says, okay, I do love SF or fantasy or whatever. So it's actually very open to people, but you have to make the first contact, and then everything opens up.
We do not want to bother anybody by dragging him in.
Yeah,
that's the first rule. We have a lot of silent people that just sit around like, we'll just watch. We'll just watch and listen to what's going on. Said, okay, then when you feel like it, just drop in and talk to us. But we really love when people from abroad just show up and say, hi, I'm from insert the name of the country, and I hear these people here like science fiction. We really love something like that when it happens.
Anna, do you agree?
I have a question. So SFera was founded in 76, and then you had the Days of Science Fiction, which later turned into what's now SFeracon. They like a year after the foundation, you started in Croatia. There started to be those Days of Science Fiction, and so my question is: did this tradition exist since 76 uninterruptedly, or did you have some pause?
Yes.
No pause. It was a constant stream. And initially the idea was in the 76. They said that it was Yugoslavia, and they said that they will have the same thing as the Worldcon and as the English. So there will be one big convention, like national convention. It was called UCon for Yugoslavia, and it will travel around the country every year in a different city. And after first or second UCon, immediately the first UCon, the guys from SFera said like, oh, it's boring, let's make our own convention. And then that's how the SFeracon got its name. But from the 78 all the way up to today, we didn't have a single year where it was broken. There were some that almost didn't happen, but it happened every year.
So the new generations, they kind of came to SFera and they started to continue this tradition, right?
Yes.
It's all the time, right?
I started working, I was visiting SFeracon from 1994, but I actually started, I usually help lots, but I actually started working as organizer in some 20-something years ago, Marco even earlier. And then the old group took us in. Then some new kids showed up, then we took them in. So it's constantly changing, and we always get every couple of years we get a few new people that work there.
Yeah, it's completely voluntary.
Yeah,
it's completely voluntary.
Basically, yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, a lot of
nobody's paid for anything. Yeah. And I think that in other cities they also switched several generations as well by now. Because, for instance, Rijeka runs for 20 years, Istra runs for 20-something years. Yeah, it's hard to have it on one generation.
Years now.
But you have this.
So it's hard to keep on one generation. You have to get somebody new.
So, and you have this kind of local communities, right? That's centered around some cities. So you have this Rijeka circle, right? Guys from Rijeka doing their convention, right? And having their weekly meetings some literature program, and then you have it split, right? Everywhere, centered around the country, right?
Yes, there is a very small but very good community in Pazin. That's Istrakon in Istria. And there are some people in Osijek, but they don't have the capacity to hold on to the club or convention. But in Slavonski Brod, which is actually a smaller city, they actually managed to put up a convention that is very nice, and it's running for quite some years now. So
they have actually a second convention now because they had some changes.
Yeah.
Then Opatija, Rijeka, Split,
Krapina.
Krapina, yeah. So there's Yeah, there was a group in Sisak, but they had conventions in the beautiful medieval castle. But then a couple of years ago we had an earthquake, and now the castle is closed because it's too dangerous to walk in. So they lost their space. That's a problem. There was a group in Donji Miholjac. That's a really small and really beautiful place, but they grew up, got family, got kids, and they didn't get a next generation. But this year they started working on like really, really small convention. They started again. So we'll see. Maybe it catches up and somebody else takes on and continues with that. Maybe I think that we even missed several cities. Krk, Cres. On Cres, they had a couple of years. Like 2 or 3 years ago, they started working on Cres during the summer. So yeah, we have quite a lot of cities, quite a lot of conventions. Some show up only once, and several of them keep on going for several years now.
Yeah.
And some, like as you said, Pazin, that's Istrakon, Rikon, they are here for 25 years. Liburnikon from the Opatia, that's like city next to Rijeka, it's 20 years. So yeah, we have quite a lot of old groups.
Because I have a feeling like all the time, everything is like something is happening in Croatia, like somewhere there's a convention, like especially throughout the summer. So like there's SFeraCon, and then there's suddenly like Emerald Islands Festival somewhere, and then there's like a smaller, and like everything is happening all the time. We don't have that. That's interesting.
It emerged actually. A lot of people were actually forced to come to Zagreb. And 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, it was quite normal to go and you meet someone at the convention, get to know him, and then you sleep over at someone's place, because hotels and stuff were very expensive. There was no rent in Zagreb for a one-night stay, and the whole thing with tourism happened later on in Zagreb. And you develop a relationship with people in that way, because in a way you become house friends. You kind of share your passions, and you share life for those 3 days. And in case of Istria, it was part of we'd like to have some people to come over to our side. And then they decided to make Istrakon, and to make a convention. We are a big SF fans. Okay, do come to us too. We'd like to get to know you too in that context. So, and it's always helping. If something goes seriously wrong, everyone, the people that know each other for a very, very long time, tends to go and get, are you in trouble this year? Well, a bit. Can I do something? Well, you could help out with this, and this, and then we go and do stuff. So with the guys, people who organize those stuff, we're a community in itself, in a way. And whoever comes by, the first thing that crew gets, if you need any help, do call us. We'll help you. We'll join you. Yeah, and it will go on.
I remember when I was in Poland in a big fantastic festival, and we saw all these beautiful panels, writers, cosplay, literature event, some writing event, and say, hey, we need to do something like this in Ukraine, and we did it. So I understand.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's important when you have this help from another part of fandom. And I want to ask you about fandom. You tell about it yet, but your fandom, how it organizes itself? Because in Ukraine we have problem. Most Ukrainian sci-fi and fantasy clubs were remnant of Soviet era, and when Ukraine take independent, people say, oh, we don't want to go in this post-Soviet club formats, we don't do this, we must do something new, something Ukrainian, only Ukrainian, and it's good, but we don't have this in Ukraine, this тяглість. Anna, maybe can
yeah, Альона is trying to say, like, we don't have this uninterrupted tradition, because
Yes,
it was
yeah.
a bit shameful for Ukrainians to be associated with the Soviet style clubs, and
Yes.
that's the problem in Ukraine. Like, we don't have that long heritage and the weight of the heritage on us. Like, we had to kind of like start from the scratch instead of continuing the tradition that existed before us.
Well, actually, that I wouldn't say that it's a weight of heritage. I think that's actually your advantage. You can use it as an advantage, because what will bring people together, what brought people together earlier was, I will use a very heavy word here. It's a bit of a stigma of being an SF fan, because that was for those very ridiculous people who do stupid things all around and read stuff that is for the waste of the time, and that kind of brought people together. What kept us going was actually reading and the SF, the literature and the writing, and the fact that the only place where you could meet other people who like to read and who like to write and to see and hear what's new was Sferacon, as a place of meeting for a very, very long number of years. And at that point, it kind of developed, because Sferacon was constantly rearranged in the content that was happening, and it was someone wanted to have something, and then that person would do that. In 90s, the first networks of computers started to work, and linked computers were a thing that you could get only on very limited number of spaces. Sferacon was one of them. The guys that actually loved gaming and did the SF and the comics stuff said, okay, could we get some computers here and link them up for 3 days? That would be awesome, because we could play games. And then it happened. Someone knew someone who borrowed some computers, some cables got brought in, someone, and that's the principle that it worked on. And you don't have to have heritage for that. You have to have, I would say that creation fandom is about the connection between people who love stuff and have similar interests. So I think you have that too in your fandom. It's just a matter of how you manage to bring people together to see that they have these things. It's a bit of a spark.
We also had this, like in the bad word now, Yugoslavia. We had also this, like the communities and the clubs for technical knowledge, for this and for that. And basically, my assumption is that either we were a niche, so nobody bothered with us, or people really didn't care about the politics, because they say, yeah, I'm not going here for the politics, I'm coming for the science fiction. And for the weird people that really do, like the weird people that I can talk like normally and speak about the Star Trek, UFOs, whatever comes to my mind. And that's on our, but this remnants of the old regime. For instance, on our logo, we had a star, like a 5-pointed star that was on the Yugoslavian flag. And then it was a big fight. Like, why do you still have that? Like, okay, we'll move it, no problem. But why does it even bother you? Like, it's like one stars in the sky. So what's the point? So, for instance, so we had some smaller things like that.
Yeah,
but other than that,
and the beautiful fact is when you are not when you're not a big rock star and not interesting to other people, and you're very, very small and quite remote, then you don't get bothered and molested. So that's what actually happened to us. Now they have this too small to bother with. So
Yeah, here in the chat we have Dalibor fact checking us live. So he mentioned also for the cities Zadar and Požega, and also
yes,
had the fact that in 1991 only SFera existed and everything else started in 1994 and onwards. So yeah, that's a fact, because before the big conventions we mentioned are the ones that are still running. That's those that started around 2000, 2005. Before 2000, in the last century, we are old, very old. There are other conventions that are unfortunately shut down now. That was Osijek. Marco already mentioned it, and it was Kutina.
yes.
Yes.
But
So
Kutina was very, very, very intertwined with gaming and role playing.
With Lars.
And
So basically, yeah, what we did have some
LARP came
interrupts.
out of it, and then it got shut down.
So
Istria
we did. It was not.
started-
Yeah,
Istria
what I was
started
saying, it was not connected throughout in every part of Croatia. We had several places where something was running and was really, really prosperous, and then it really just fizzled out at one point. Probably because there were no new people, or people moved out of that town, or simply they got married, got kids, and didn't have time anymore for organizing big things. So they still meet around, they show up in other conventions, but they just don't organize anything.
Let's speak about names. Yes. Do you have your own canon of sci-fi and fantasy authors that everybody knows in your country, and we must know it now? Tell me, please.
Only one falls to my mind, and that is Ivana Brlić-Mažuranić, and she was writing in the 1920s. So she wrote the Tales of Long Ago. You can find it on Gutenberg Project, actually. I'll send Anna and Альона some links, so if anybody's interested, you will be able to read Croatian science fiction in English and in some other languages. So yeah, basically, she is a canon because we learn about her in school, and that's she was writing the old Croatian mythology, and it was the first introduction to any Croatian mythology. Other than that, people.
I know that she is called Croatian Tolkien.
Yes.
Yeah, we avoid it because everybody is Croatian Tolkien. She was first, so we like to call her Tolkien is our Ivana Brlić-Mažuranić.
This is actually a thing that's a running joke in people who are in fandom, because each year we give out SFera award, and that's been going on for a very, very long time. And it's a literature reward for a novel, for short stories, and it has its categories. And every year, the guys that do the
jury that reads everything,
the jury, they have to read everything they can get their hands on in that's been published for the last year. And it grew. We are happy now that it's a big list, really big list. It's hundreds and hundreds of stories. And it's difficult to track it, but every year or every 2 years there comes a very smart publisher who goes around and says, "This is the first Croatian fantasy novel that has been written in any time or space," and we go, "Yeah, you and the 30 guys like you. But meanwhile, let's go over to this side, and we have here some novels. And let's begin with Ivana Brlić-Mažuranić." So it's a running joke and frustration with that. But she is the first, and she is a mix of mythology and fantasy, because she adapted a lot of concepts from mythology. Slavic mythology is a bit of a thing that it's not been written down anywhere, and it's easier to mix it up with stuff from the Nordic lands, and it got buggered with internet. But what you get in her is various folk concepts that got incorporated into very, very beautiful stories for the children, and it's really ageless. That's her. It aged well, and it can be read to the kids at any point of time. So do try it. It's a good recommendation for the people who have kids to get all the 10 years plus to get them onto the reading of the fantasy.
You know, I'm laughing, and Anna also laughing.
Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry,
because we have the same joke. First Ukrainian comics, first Ukrainian fantasy, first Ukrainian punk. No, sorry.
For the 30th time, first Ukrainian. Yeah, but when you ask for a canon, the issue is, I think we were discussing a couple of days ago. So yeah, they will probably ask us, like, who is the most famous author in Croatia for science fiction. But the fun thing is, there are not that many authors that write only science fiction that are really famous outside of the fandom. They are known for other stuff. So they write science fiction and something else, and people outside the fandom knows them for these other works. One of the best examples is Darko Macen, who is one of the, well, let's say he is one of the guys that's pushed a lot of things in our literature and writing from the 90s onwards, but everybody knows him because of his comic books. So he's a scenarist, and he did for Marvel. He worked for Vertigo. He works for now for Delcourt for the French, and he has many people know for him, but they know him for his comics and not for his science fiction stories, for instance.
And Darko is
there are others like that.
I have to get into the context here. Darko Macen and Tanya Yambrishak are the two people who actually, and Visitpine, who is on the net now, will confirm that actually got SFera through early 90s, and who started the literature workshops, and they started the annual collection of stories that is published for SFeraCon, and contains and every year people can apply to it, and that's what the Mírko and I are editors of. And they were constantly, tirelessly working with new authors to teach them how to write a good story, how to make a good characterization, and they've actually moved the written part of the SF from the concepts of Asimov and older authors into the new century, let's say new century. The other big part, if you want to know Croatian SF, those two people are very essential for the history of modern SF. I say modern, current SF, and Žiljak is part of that group. He was writing with them. You have him translated, so that's a good example. And some more are authors that got translated. Milena Benini, she started as a kid in the 80s, but she got into the world with Darko and Tanya, and people. There is a whole generation of people from the 90s that actually are more or less. Как се каже в мированju? They're not writing today.
Yeah, they're dormant, so they're just sleeping, like a winter sleep, like bears.
But they're excellent writers, and some new styles emerged from that. But if you and it's difficult to say when you say canon or some must read that I've seen in as a question, that's a very difficult thing to actually say, because there is not a lot of things that got translated, and not a lot of people write in English. The only person that has an English novel, and it's is Igor Rendic, that's been written
No,
in
actually,
English.
there are many of them.
Elena
But
Donato.
as I said,
Yes,
Elena Donato, for instance. Yeah, so there are quite a lot of
exactly.
people. Some people write directly in English. But Igor, we mentioned Igor because Igor is from this group that he's from the fandom. He's one of those guys that we travel back and forth, sleep at each other's houses and stuff like that.
Yeah, and what's with him is he writes fantasy, and yeah, he does include a lot of local Eastern and Primorje and Gorski Kotar folk tales and mythology that actually goes around that part of the country. So when he writes very current thing. It's a very good page turner. So and it uses the local mythology that's functional for down there. Nella Donato does similar stuff, so it's a good thing to read, and it's a quality stuff.
I think that I heard it at Elena Donato presentation. She had a presentation at SFera, and I was there. She presented her book Tamna Šuma Duboka Voda. And so I heard a very cool joke there. She said, so this is a book based on the Slavic mythology, on Slavic folklore largely. And she said, you know, when you say Slavic mythology in Europe, everybody instantly thinks about Polish authors. But we in Croatia, we actually have cool folklore too, like Slavic folklore. And I was like, this is the thing we can relate to. Like we kind of have Slavic folklore and mythologies as well. But you know, I guess Polish authors have made this kind of like a brand, you know, they build around their mythology, and who doesn't know Sapkowski, right, in Europe, and right now everybody associates with that. But regarding Slavic mythology, I've never actually heard that, and I wonder if our audience has ever heard that the first documented vampire actually comes from Croatia. That there was in the Istra, there was the village where there lived a person called Jure Grando, and then you have this cool vampire mythology coming from Istria, and also vampire hunters. I don't think that we have that in our Slavic folklore, but you have this notion of a vampire hunter, Krsnik. And Igor Rendic, he wrote his trilogy about the Tamkald River, about these people, you know, hunting evil things. That's very cool.
Basically, Krsnik is a witcher. So yeah. I think that the description is the same, just Geralt looks much cooler when he has a good actor to play him. And there is a whole mythology about Krsniks, how they are born, how they're selected, what their powers are. So they're like basically they are good witches. So they have the similar powers as witches, but they use them for good, and they hunt demons and help people and so forth.
So it more translates like a witcher, right? Then
they hunt monsters, for instance.
Okay. Okay. This is similar to witcher.
Now, and what you get in Istria that is specific is this part of Striga and Strikun, and they do differentiate between black and white, and not necessarily good or evil, but it's a bit complex. But they were healers. They were in a way intertwined with the land, with the agriculture and life and death, and so actually we have one late professor from Tomomischak, if you remember him, Mirko, who was anthropologist that did a lot of research on that. And what we're lucky about is that actually we have few people who did a really science-based stuff and research on Slavic mythology and roots of it, on the linguistic level and on the anthropologic and historical and cultural little details that got transferred from the field of I'm going to use this very carefully now and do take it with what we say, a grain of salt. Pan-Slavic moment, because a lot of tribes used very similar mythology. It was never written down, but basic underlying myths survived. So it's a very interesting field, and if you want to research that if you want to write quality SF and fantasy, you have to do your research. We are lucky that we actually do have guys from that are serious enough to do anthropological research in that field. So it's nice, and you get a good SF out of it, and fantasy and speculative fiction and all the rest of the stuff.
Also, Anna, Jure Grando that you mentioned, so he was really heavily promoted in Istria, up to the point where when this Istrian group that's called Albus, where they have 2 story collections each year, and one when they said, okay, send us your stories, but if you write about another vampire and it's called Jure, you're out. Like, we're not, you cannot write, please don't write this anymore, we read too much of that stuff. So it's, yeah, so now people write about the different, it's a vampire but it's called Ant or something like that. So yeah, but we do have this several of like Marco said, people are investigating something, and those are not just like fandom investigation. Those are like doctorates and actual scientific work from linguistics, history. We have a guy that just made a book about, just now, like a couple of years ago, the whole book about the magic in Croatia, Croatian magical practices. And this is actually a serious book, and this is like his thesis, I think, for his doctorate or something.
Yeah, Deniver actually made a serious research going back through Austria, Habsburg monarchy, and the roots of the witchcraft and how the witches were treated back then, and connected it to the witchcraft and pagan religious paganism as part of it. And what he did do was that he connected the alternative systems of belief, which witchcraft actually is, combined with some practices of healing and stuff like that. It's a very nice book, and it's a very nice thing to read about, because it puts a completely different context onto the witchcraft that we know, that is in the SF and fantasy and stuff like that. That's common stuff, and he connected it to the practice of how do you call it? The guys with the little thingy spinning around, or people looking for water with sticks and stuff like
that. Water dowser. Yeah.
Yeah. But it makes sense. Witches did that in history. They were the people that got transferred the mythical knowledge that actually helped people live. How do you find water? You have to know what to look for, and it's a bit of a craft in it. So if you put a bit of a mysticism about it, well, you get bonus points. You get some more eggs because it's mythical and stuff like that, on the level of basic human needs in the village. So you can live off it a bit. So it's nice when you go and. What's the book? What's the name of the book? Okay, we can look for the author. It's okay.
Yes.
This is what I wrote. Yeah, Deniver Vukic. Yeah.
Mhm.
I sent the list with some names that are translated in Croatian to Anna, so she can paste it in some comments under the YouTube later. Also, you can always come and visit us. We have a Discord channel where you can just pop in and start stirring trouble and asking questions.
Yeah, we actually distributed the. You used to send me like a long ago, like after SFeracon, you send me something, and we distributed it through Telegram, right, Aleona? Like we send it some storybook collections,
Great.
links to that.
Yes, yes.
I think
And
this
Also,
list
we'll
has
leave
some
to
new
this
links.
video. Yeah,
Yeah.
some links to the video.
I just listen here and think about our Molfars, and Molfars and something
Yes.
like this. And sorry, this question was not in
It was not
this
intended.
document
Yes.
that I sent to you, but I have a little question. What is most popular creature or personage in
A
fantasy?
character, right?
Yes, character, yes. Because we have period when everybody writes about Molfars, but oh my God, another Molfars, please don't when you say about vampire, just remember. Then everybody writes about Mafkas because we have
Yeah.
we
Forest
have
spirit, right?
yes for a spirit, and this is very very popular because we have Lisova Pisnia, forest song.
The Forest
Yes,
Song by
forest
Lesa
songs.
Ukrainka. It's a very old
Yes.
text, and because of that, we kind of like we have the same situation in terms that our authors are kind of like rediscovering the mythology, like rediscovering the historical some kind of aspects and cultural aspects of Ukraine's heritage, and then they dig up that and they write some amazing fantasy about it, around it. They kind of like build around it. So we are just like the same in terms of getting back to the roots, like to exploring the cultural heritage, exploring the historical heritage.
I'd like to. I'm going to make a bit of a turnaround of that question, because we don't have a specific character. Jure Grando is probably the most promoted one, and it got really out into the fandom. We don't have something that is specific like that, but I would say that the most popular creature in Croatian mythology, in Croatian SF, is actually an emotion, whichever you choose, because a lot of the best writing actually got into the part of relational thing of the characters with the story and with the events. So I could say that the emotions and the that part of characterization got to the point where it's a central thing of a big part of the writing in Croatian fandom in the last few years. The good and the best part of the writing. So yeah, and the emotions can get beastly.
I will be less poetic. I'll just say dragons. People love dragons. So
I have a question about, well, kind of like about dragons, but I think that like 10 years ago, whenever someone said Croatia and fantasy next to each other, there was like only one strong association that people around the world had, and that was shooting Game of Thrones in Dubrovnik. So,
yep,
like, did that affect
that's
you?
put us on map.
yeah.
Sorry.
Did that affect you like in any kind of way? And what did you think? Do you think that changed the image of Croatia, like generally in the world?
It depends. People knew a lot about Croatia before because of the sea, the beautiful islands, the tourism, stuff like that. And then they knew we have old cities. So like we have the split that actually was built by emperor, the only one that ever get retired and not killed. We have Dubrovnik, that's really known for its walls, and Pula, the biggest arena outside of Rome. So they know a lot about historical stuff that can be loosely connected to fantasy. But now people not interested in history also know about us. Sometimes it's a problem because now we have much more tourists that don't care about anything, just about, show me where the dragon sat and show me where Khaleesi was dining, stuff like that. So the people that did, let's say, who were not in the science fiction before they saw Game of Thrones now know about us. And if they're curious, they'll probably find out about some other things as well. But people that were actually into science fiction internationally, so that were not just in reading books, but also meeting other fans from around the world. And those are the people that go around the conventions. So the Worldcon, the Eurocon, let's say travelers that go around, they knew about us. They knew about our authors. They knew people that organized our conventions. We have a group that founded SFera. Those are really, really old guys. We call them Sferasaurus. And they still meet, and they actually traveled to all these places, to the Worldcons. They met all those authors, and basically there is in the Dune by George Herbert, there is a whole section that's actually written in, Serbian Croatians. It doesn't matter; it's our language. But the people claim that they are the ones that gave that idea to Herbert. There are a couple of authors like Brian Aldiss that says, he took a few novels and took all the Croatian names because he knew people from Croatia. He was in Croatia. So a lot of people, especially in this century, when we started going out again to the international conventions, also came to Zagreb to us and went around the city. They know about us, they know about the history, and they are curious about all the stuff we're talking right now. So that was just an added bonus to them. But it also put us on map. Now people who didn't care about science fiction in Croatia also show up and say, "Oh, do you have anything else than dragons? Maybe, I don't know."
Yeah, and considering fandom, what it actually did not change anything for us. It just put SFeraCon more onto a public spot. That it did. It pushed. It facilitated this part of fantasy and SFera and SFeraCon going mainstream. But on the level of the fandom, of the writing, quality of the writing, or subjects that are chosen for the stories and characters and characterizations and plots, in that context, it hasn't changed anything. It had literally zero effect.
We have an interesting question.
Yeah, that's also true.
From our viewers. But I must say that it's not correct, because we have science fiction big novels, not so much as I wanted, but we have it. What about you?
Okay, this is a loaded question. This is a loaded question. The thing is,
we do have. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say there is a group of people that really wants to write and read like hard science fiction. The problem is that some of them, when you say hard science fiction, they think immediately about the stuff that was written in the 1965. 1980 is the latest period they accept as a hard science fiction, and the writings, the literature, the themes, everything moved on. So you don't write about spaceships anymore. You write, as Marco said, you write about how people feel about the spaceships and spaceship travel. And for some reason, people there is a group of authors in Croatia that wants to write about it, and there is quite a big group that wants to read it. However, fantasy and horror are, let's say, generally more popular.
And
Marco and I are trying to fix it at one point.
The problem is if you want to write hard. The problem with that question is that it's we've moved on from the concept of fantasy and science fiction. We've gone to the concept of speculative fiction that encompasses everything. But the thing that can be put SF is the thing that you have to do science, because the assholes that read those things actually do go and check up stuff. And if you get things wrong, you're going to get serious problems on your book promotions, because they're going to dig it up. We have that's another thing about fandom. We do actually like to check things up. Do they hold up? So it's quite easier to write fantasy or fantastic stuff in Croatia, because you can pass a lot more things under it without fact checking. I mean, we have one guy that lives in Šibenik that writes hard SF. We love him a lot. He's called Ed Barrow. But with Ed's stories, we actually do. Mirko does the physics checking, and can.
No,
Yeah, because we know the audience. The audience are the guys that actually are physics professors that do electrical engineering, and if they read in their stories something that's not holding up to the basic physics, throw it away. So it's a hard craft. And to this year, because it's 50 years of SFera, for the annual collection of stories, we did a subject that is hard SF, and we are waiting for the stories. We can do another one of these. What we got. That's going to be a fun one.
You don't believe it, but we also have this type of readers. We call it the klopachnik. Riveter, I'm not sure. The man who makes the screwer, the klopachnik.
Everybody has them. It's just the name is different.
Yeah.
Our name is, it's not really pronounced. I don't think it's 18 plus. No? So it's,
yeah, but
I'm not sure if you're allowed to say it aloud here.
Yeah. No, we're not going to go that rabbit. But hard SF is beautiful, but the problem with hard SF, a lot of stuff has become from the past has become a reality. If you want to do something cyberpunkish, well, but basically it's here. If you want to do an AI thingy with evil AI controlling the world, well, that's just around the corner. Well, and it's very difficult to do something that's actually. I'm a big fan of Terry Pratchett. If you want, and I'd like to quote him here, if you don't imagine things, how are they to become? And with hard science and hard science fiction, we are running out of imaginative space, and we are in the space of shared reality. That is something that's quite difficult to write, and I think it's a trend on the planetary level. You get soap operas like Star Trek, Star Wars, and the whole ecosystems that are actually fantasy when you look at them and their structure. They're fantasy. They're not science. They're fantasy in space. And soap opera in space. So the last thing the only thing that actually got to the SF part and was really good and and that's current is those guys with Martians, Belters, and
The Expanse.
The Expanse. That's That's the last thing that is actually good. The thing before that was Battlestar Galactica that got produced, and when you look at the level of those two series, the time apart between them, and the amount of same level of popularity fantasy series, you get the exact amount of fantasy hard science fiction in literature, because it's difficult to do.
So it's beautiful bridge for my next question. What do you think? What problems of your fandom is unique, and what problems are universal for all Europe, maybe from Ukrainian? I'm not sure.
I have one universal. How are we going to get new people to do the convention?
I have answer. You must say, if you make convention, you can order your friend who write books and your most favorite author. It's work.
Our problem is that most of those authors were already in Croatia. So you cannot, and they were in Croatia when they were not extremely popular as they are today. For instance, we drank with George Martin, and the first thing he asked me was, "You will not ask me why I killed Jon Snow." I said, "Sorry, I didn't read those books. I read your science fiction. I didn't read the Game of Thrones." "Oh, great, great, great! Well, come have a drink with me." So yeah, but now you cannot get him anymore. So we got a lot of really popular authors before they were popular or at the beginning of their popularity. And now you simply cannot reach them anymore because they're booked like 5 years ahead, and you cannot really do anything unless you call them for 2030. And we don't work on those time spans.
But when you crack down on 30 years of history with that profile of an author, those guys actually talk to each other and they know each other. And when someone is a rising star or a new author and asks someone from the older generations, okay, they've called me from SFera and Zagreb, well, then we get a load and a very heavy recommendation. Yeah, you do go there because they're actually nice guys, good people, and you're going to have a good time there. So it's been a lot of relational a lot of cultivating of good relations on that field.
But getting back to your question, Dalibor, that's currently lurking in the comments, and me, we were, I think in Sweden, we were on one panel where people were, organizers of the conventions were discussing the problems they have when they organize conventions. And there was like, there are no two same problems. For instance, the Finns had a problem that they have too much money, they have to reject. The second problem is they had like 5,000 or 4,000 people on their conventions, so they don't have problem with people, but they have problem with the organization because on every, I don't know, 50 or 100 people, they need to have one guy from the security. So basically, they need to have more security than a football match, some stuff like that. I know the guys from that organized everything in Ukraine in 2010. Everybody said, "Oh, we don't know how to get authors." They said, "Look, we don't have problems with authors. You just send a list. That's it." Because they were organizing their convention with the book fair, and the book fair just said, "Okay, just tell us whom you want to invite, and we'll get them." So they didn't have that problem that everybody else had. Other people had an issue that some people didn't have space, some people didn't simply couldn't afford convention, a bigger convention, because they didn't have money. And they couldn't raise enough money to still keep it in the same way as, for instance, we did. We do everything on a voluntary basis. So basically, we take grants from the town, from the city, or from the state for cultural projects and stuff like that. But quite a lot of stuff comes from our own pocket because, yeah, I want to do something, I will give money for that, no problem. So yeah, I think that every group has a completely different set of problems. For instance, Serbia and Croatia are next to each other. Basically, we started with our both main groups started about the same time. They worked together, they did everything together, and 2025, they don't have SF conventions like we do. They have one every couple of years, and their fandom is not as organized as Croatians are, but they have much stronger publishing than we do. So, like, two countries next to each other, and they developed in a completely different directions. So, I would say that I would say that every country has each own sets of problems, and the sets of problems I heard from listeners, from Austrians, from French, and from Spanish and Portuguese are much different than our problems.
I think that
usually it's people and space, where to like location, where to go together, and how to get people to do that thing, like get the younger kids, like, oh, these younger generations, they don't care about anything. They don't want to do anything anymore. So I think those are only two.
That's regarding conventions, but I think that in terms of literature, although we have different contexts and we are like different countries, different markets, but we have this in common problem that there is some kind of inferiority complex amongst our audiences, that our own kind of like native authors are less valuable than the foreign authors. Like if we have like a book market, and English-speaking, English-writing authors, they are more kind of sort of regarded as valuable by the publishers and by the audience. And we kind of like, this is what SFera does, and this is what Starfort have in common. We kind of have to prove that they are kind of like good authors, and you have to support them as well, you know? We have this, I guess that one of our writers, he said like a very cool quote. It was, I guess, Andrei Novik. He said like, don't support foreign authors. They write for the whole world. They have the whole world to support them. Support Ukrainian authors. They write specifically for you. And this is very cool.
We exactly know why this happened in Croatia, because we had extremely good publishers that published and translated only the best stuff from the outside. So the cream of the crops. Like top few percent of the best authors, best writing you will ever find. And if that's the only science fiction and fantasy you read, it's really hard to compete with that. So when we had really, really good books, like we were really like mind blown, this is something perfect. The answer was like, yeah, like George Martin did it better, or Neil Gaiman did it better. Like, yeah, but those are only two guys that you have. Like, what about all the other people that you never hear about because they were never translated into Croatians? So this is the Sturgeon rule. Like 90% of everything is crap. But you don't see this. You just see the 10%. When stuff goes from the outside, you usually see only this 10% that's good. And when you read your own stuff, you see the whole spectrum, everything. So in the end, people think like it's not good. And that's wrong. We know that.
Yeah, and the other part is that actually you get what you get is a lot of it's a publishing thing also, because if you are a small market, and we are, Ukraine is much bigger than Croatia. Let's be realistic.
There's only 4 million of us.
There is a 4 million of us, and not a lot. Cultural context changed. People watch stuff. People hear stuff. The books are not the main. The main books have lost the let's say niche as a very good way of finding entertainment. They've become not the level of number of people that read has fallen. New media is actually pressing things out. And to produce a book and produce audiobook for a very limited number of people, well, that's not good. And our publishers never actually went to the idea to push something out or to try to sell books or authors to other countries. So that's the limiting factor. I don't know if you have that in Ukraine, that actually publishers try to push the authors to the European market or to the West to get translated into English. Do you have that?
That rarely happens for SF and fantasy writers. So we have publishers who are actively pushing like a book about that will engage like a larger audience. I think that SF genre kind of books, they are regarded like for the smaller audience, and we have limited number of translations of our authors like to international markets. I guess Альона can add something to that.
Yes, and I must tell about interesting thing. We have a festival, Книжкова країна, books country. And in home, I said that this is Bloggers Con. I will tell you why. Because maybe every second event in this festival, one of participants is book blogger.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and it really help because in Ukraine we have this mode lifestyle. The reading is cool. The reading is make you special. The write about books, make photo with books, make you special, make you bloggers, make you smart bloggers, something like this. I'm very make it easier because it's more complicated. But what about your country? Do you use this power, book bloggers, to make your event more visible, to make your book more visible? Use this,
We have booktubers, we have book talkers, also the book bloggers, and some of them are in the fandom, some are not. And basically, yeah, there have been attempts where that we work together, that they publish our books and so on, and it does work in some way, but actually it's not that organized from our side, because most often we just have enough time to do our own books, and then we have the other hobbies in life to work with. So sometimes, for instance, I know that for some of the stuff that when I was talking about, one of the links is Morina Kutija. That is a magazine that some of the stories are written in English, and they actually have their own podcast, Mora FM. It's really good, and they do go around the conventions and they actually promote that. But that's, again, it depends. Some of these book talkers and book bloggers have rather niche groups, so they are separated to, let's say, to the genres. Some like the fantasy and science fiction, some goes for the crime novels, especially the Scandinavians, and I'm really from the few from some discussions I had with them, these groups rarely overlap. So yeah, you have one group that reads one thing, the other group that reads other things. So it is good to get your stuff out, but it's not something that will get you on the really broad market or to everybody.
I think that from what I observed,
I might be wrong.
I think that we in Ukraine, we have this like strong culture of book bloggers like being influencers for the audience, and I don't think that that in Croatia you have that, because for Ukraine, like it's like imagine a book fair and a book presentation. So on presentation there will be like sitting a writer, probably someone interviewing a writer, and maybe someone from the publishing house. Whereas in Ukraine, there will be sitting a writer, a book blogger that supports the writer and interviews the writer, and then maybe someone from the publishing house. But I've never seen a book presentation like in Croatia where there will be a book blogger present. So it's like this online promotion. I think that it's not a very important thing for Croatian writers. It's not very kind of like popular at all, I think, and I think that our authors, they in Ukraine, they're often themselves are bloggers. And I think that Croatian authors, they don't have that much of online presence because, as Mirko said, they don't have much time for doing that. You have to,
but
they live a
also,
double life already.
Yeah, but also just as you said, this is the thing that now when you mention it, maybe our book bloggers are just not. No, I wouldn't say popular, because the book bloggers and people that follow them will kill me after that. But maybe they don't have such a big reach as they have in Ukraine. I think that could be the main reason. Yeah.
I think that the main thing is that what you've mentioned is a cultural thing in Ukraine, and that's the only thing that comes to mind, is that your perception of a person reading a book is something that is very positive, that is actually very desirable, and that person is cool and he is smart, and it actually adds to the status. So reading of whatever thing is actually regarded in a way that is Facebook and Instagram happy and going, and the idea of reading is something that is going to put you on the upper level. I don't think that kind of that the reading has that kind of a status in Croatia, because people do read, but because they read, they're not going to be regarded as, oh, good, excellent, and no one is going to notice that in that way. So that's probably cultural difference between the two countries that additionally sets us back.
Well, I think that it's more that you rather rely on in-person conversations, like in-person meetings. We don't have the luxury, first of all, right now, to have these huge gatherings when we have a wartime in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And also I think that we are more kind of like atomized. Like we have these individuals scattered around the country, and they don't form any groups. Like you have this, like people meeting in Rijeka, people meeting in Slovenski Brod. They don't do that. They have like group. We have like different authors in different cities, or maybe even different locations around the world, and they don't gather in one place. Rarely do they come to. We can't afford those weekly meetings, and that's why we do most of stuff online. That's why we rely on the online promotion largely right now. That's why we kind of force the books to be promoted by book bloggers rather than conducting some kind of like meetings with the audience. It's a bit dangerous. It can be dangerous to organize, also because we have these air raids, and because I think that we have this more of importance of this online presence of the book, of the author, and you have this more like you put the stakes on this interpersonal level, like in-person conversations, like daily, like weekly meetings, and we don't have that culture.
Also, one thing that really affects it, I think, is the size difference, because in Croatia you can really skip from one part of the country to the other. You sit in a car and you're there in a couple of hours, and in Ukraine, if you travel, you have to sit on a train and then go to the other part of the country for a whole night. So that is, I think, also a big difference why it's much easier for you to do stuff online and for us to just go to the next place and meet each other. Also, as Marco said before, fandom started as really like a closer group of people that meet each other every time. And the older generation prefers to go and to sit down and talk in face to face, as you said. But if the younger generations, for instance, Jelena Donato, Striga Publishing Company, Marko Rendic, they're working on their online presence and they're doing it, but they do it themselves or in smaller groups. So they are self-promoting in that way. Yeah, the links will also links to Striga and more FM will also be in this package they sent.
I think we must make a big material, maybe 2, maybe 3 materials. I'm not sure yet, but we must do it in Ukrainian, of course. I don't see new question, but I have a question. What's the biggest myth about your fantasy, sci-fi, science fiction? I don't sure. We have this word, beautiful word, fantastica. Yes, you
Yeah, we too.
like to beat it.
Well, we mentioned one myth. One myth is that whoever writes a fantasy book wrote the first fantasy book ever. So that's a myth. Like, yeah, people did it for like 50 years before you, so no, you're not the first one. That's one of our biggest myths. And also the other myth is people really surprised. They say, "Oh yeah, you do science fiction." Like it's like either a bunch of guys like nerds that just walk around in the Star Trek uniforms and wave lightsabers, and then they find out that actually people that group up are like the whole families, the kids, the old people, just talking together, so that we are just a cross section of the whole society. It's not just like, yeah, one small group of really people with a specific interests and specific niches. So when we got together, people talk about the linguistics, about the poetry, about history, yeah, Second World War, archaeology, space travel. So we have all kinds of discussions. For instance, this old guy Spherosaurus, I was on a drink once with them, and so they are all over 70, and their discussions ran from between doing their orchards and their vineyards, is what the cybersecurity. They're 70, but they're all into cybersecurity. And the other was a fight if when was the first jet plane built, in 1910 or actually in the 1948 or 43. So they really cover a broad spectrum of interests. And I say, when people see it, they don't expect that.
I have one myth that is constantly going around, and that is that the guys that do SFera can live from that. No, it's not true. We don't.
People actually go to us and says, "Can I send?"
We beg for money to get the bloody thing on tracks.
People just come to us and says, "Look, can I? If I send you my CV, can I work for you?" Like, oh, it's great. You just do one stuff and live for a whole year. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. And you can, and every other group that organizes the conventions will tell you the same way. Now we have several of the events that are actually professionally made, and people live off them. But this is, but you can see in the programming, in the execution of the event, that it gears towards profits, and it's built on the different principle than this fan-made conventions.
Yeah, it's basically marketing. It's a 3-day marketing fair. When you look at it, and the SF and fantasy and fandom are there so they can say that they are there. It's not the focus of the content that's going on.
I think it's like, oh my gosh, we have this part, Comic-Con in Kiev, yes, Anna?
Yes.
Comic-Con, this is commercial.
Comic-Con,
yeah, Comic-Con commercial. It's for 100%. Yes.
Yeah, it's about selling comics, and it has nothing to do with fandom or with it, or with everything. It's simply geared up as a fair, something like that.
Do you have book clubs? Because Anna said that we don't have this every regular meetings, but I think in Ukraine now it's boom of book clubs, and book clubs It's
Once a
like
month,
similar, yeah, month to
Right,
month, like yes, but boom, in every city you can find book clubs now. I don't know why now.
several book clubs in one
Yes.
city. There could be.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. People are getting together. In SFera, we have book clubs, like on our meetings usually once a month at the end of the month. But there are other places. There is one in Zagreb. There is one place called the Black Cat, and they have their own book clubs where people just get together and talk about books. And the other cities have the same thing. But this is not like a big event. It's something that's like a regular event at some place, and then people show up and discuss the books.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to unmute it.
We are checking now. We are checking I was also checking the comments, but it's
yeah, we don't have a new question, but maybe you have question, or maybe you just want to say something, or maybe Anna have a question, because it's democratic area, you can say everything.
It's a chaos. Yeah, we like
I
that way.
I have like the last question probably. So, I think that Croatia right now is kind of like building a brand towards Nikola Tesla, largely. Like, so there's like none of the cities, like in every city there will be a street named after Nikola Tesla, and there's a beautiful museum in Zagreb named by Nikola Tesla. Did Nikola Tesla's heritage influence SF in Croatia in any kind of way? He was born in Croatia. He studied at school in Croatia in Gospić and Karlovac.
Actually, in Austro-Hungarian Empire, to be close.
Right. But right now it's like
currently it's a big fight between. It's like a touchy question because it's a big fight between Croatia and Serbia. Like, was Nikola Tesla ours or theirs? So yeah, he was a Serb living in Croatia, but he was under Austro-Hungarian Empire, and most of the stuff he did in America. But yeah, people like respect Nikola Tesla for what he did, and he is like the really, really cool character. But I don't think in what I noticed, some writers used him in as inspiration for novels. I had one short story about Nikola Tesla on the King Arthur's court instead of Yankee, and but I don't think that he is such a big public influence. He is really cool. So yeah, people. We have streets named after him. There are monuments. There is a great museum in his village where he was born. But as some big influence, for instance, like if the Game of Thrones show up in Croatia and everybody start writing about dragons, I did not notice that. I think actually that he's much bigger influence in Serbia, and the Serbian writers wrote much more of the stuff based on Nikola Tesla. One of the example is Goran Skrobanja that has the whole. I think he has the series of novels that are like a twist on this Society of Distinguished Gentlemen, but with Nikola Tesla and all the other heroes from the Balkans.
Okay.
I could say that Nikola Tesla in Croatia is probably regarded as more of a scientist, and as a point where you could focus your imagination on. So that's the idea, because he's regarded as a scientist, as a person who did stuff, and there is not a lot of imaginative context around him. That's my personal opinion. That's probably why it's not in focus of any story. No one sees him as something like that. So there is no inspiration.
Oh, we have so beautiful meeting today, but I think we must to close our meeting now. But I really hope that we will have question in comments, and maybe you can answer later for this question. Thank you, Mirko. Thank you, Marco. Sorry. And I promise that in Starfort, Зоряна фортеця, we will make free materials. I think we can do this.
The numbers are not important.
Yes.
We would like to have Anna. We would like
Yes.
We would like to have Anna to come back to Zagreb so we can bribe her with the cookies and lectures. So she writes good stuff about Croatians.
And maybe next year we will go to you in Zagreb with our Ukrainian authors. Maybe we show. I use my admin resource, maybe with new books, because in next year we will have next part of this book. So
this is actually no, show it. This is actually great.
Admin resource, sorry. Sorry. So thank you one more time. Thank you, Anna, for organize this meeting. It's very important. And write question in comment, please,
Thank
people.
you for calling us.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.